Millions of mixed shades and shadows, drowned dreams, somnambulisms, revelries, all that we call lives and souls lie dreaming, dreaming still, tossing like slumberers in their beds, the ever-rolling waves made so by their restlessness. Umberlee is the wicked queen of the sea. She has numerous titles, including the Bitch Queen, Great Queen of the Sea, Queen of the Depths, the Wave Mother, Goddess of Oceans, Goddess of the Deep Wilds, Storm Goddess of the Seas, Sea Queen, Sea Bitch, and the Dweller. She represents the primal fear of the seas, of its unforgiving tides, its brutal storms, and its jealous claim to any who dare to set foot upon her waves. The Wave Mother rarely deigns to manifest, save when she seeks to amuse herself by terrifying sailors. On such occasions she may emerge from the depths as a giant woman with white-hot eyes and blue-green skin. She has fins protruding from her elbows and talons from her cruel fingers. She wears jewelry of pearls and of glittering seashells, and draped about her shoulders lies a voluminous cloak composed of interlocking jellyfish. Holding aloft a mighty trident, she cackles, and she mocks her prey in a booming voice. On rare occasions, she has also been known to personally lead cults, taking the form of a frightful abomination, part humanoid and part sea creature with long seaweed hair. But her most common manifestations are gale force winds and the waves reaching up to 160 feet in height that crash down upon the decks of treasure-laden ships, sweeping their cargoes away into her domain. Finally, she may also take the form of a massive, predatory sea creature, such as a kraken, a megalodon, or some kind of vile aquatic undead. Umberlee has long bullied and terrorized sailors and shore dwellers alike, such that most of her deeds go unsung, lost at the bottom of the sea beside the nameless sailors that she drowns. But at least within recent history she has performed a litany of offences against the great and the powerful, to remind them that she alone controls the waves. At some time, possibly within the 13th century, she began to establish her worship within the port city of Memnon in Kalimshan by flooding the surrounding areas and not allowing the waters to recede until the people of Memnon paid her dutiful respect. During the time of troubles in the mid-14th century, she occupied the Sea of Fallen Stars, sinking pirate islands for her own entertainment. But she was defeated over her attempts to wash away the island of Kelthan. Yet, even after her retreat, it took several years and numerous tributes from all of the kingdoms surrounding the inland sea before she deigned to calm the oceans. Even then, she created and released a race of were-sharks into the region to mock Selune, the goddess of the moon, for her domain over lycanthropy. Later, she nearly claimed the life of Cormier's king Azun Obaskyr IV when he attempted to cross the seas to defend against the Twigan hordes. The Sea Queen only condescended to release him from her stormy grasp after he sacrificed his most prized possession to her. Later, within the same decade and off the coast of Waterdeep, she sank a wondrous mechanical seagoing vessel shaped like a dragon turtle, simply because she desired to have it. And then, sometime in the early 1370s, she finally assumed her first avatar since the time of troubles, being a massive, malignant kraken inhabiting her temple beneath the sea within the Sea of Swords. There, this beast, known only as the Dweller, spreads her influence as it grows fat on plundered magical wealth. The sea bitch loves nothing more than to toy with her prey, terrorizing sailors for days or weeks on end before she cracks their vessels open and feeds them to her frenzied sharks. She feels no loyalty to any being and will renege on any deal as quickly as she can change her mind. She cares very little why people worship her, only that they do. And neither will she allow any of her worshippers to become so famous that they might overshadow her church or her majesty. Umberlee is one of a hateful clan of powers known as the Gods of Fury, unified only by their love of destruction. It is headed by Talos the Destroyer himself, and while he has made repeated advances to steal Umberlee's domain, she counters his greatest strength by seeking to embroil him within romantic intrigues. Towards Malar, the bloodthirsty god, she is likewise disdainful. Only Auril, the Winter Maiden, does she regard as a potential ally, though neither are foolish enough to turn their back upon the other. Technically, Umberlee is the subordinate of Sylvanus, for he governs all of wild nature, but she will never admit it, and would gladly drown the land in salt water that nothing might ever grow there again. She likewise despises Chauntea, the goddess of agriculture, and Grumbar, the god of earth, for their domains over the land, and she seeks to snuff out Selune, the moon goddess, for her guidance of lost sailors. Valka, the god of seafarers, she is enraged by for his fearless escapes from her grasp. And Sune, the goddess of beauty, she envies greatly, unable to tolerate anyone above her in glory. The storm goddess inhabits a flooded realm known as Blood Tor, the 13th layer of the abyss. Her home is connected to the river Styx, causing all those who enter her afterlife to lose all memories of their lives and become her mindless slaves. Umberlee can extend her senses anywhere to a range of 12 miles of her avatars, her followers, her holy sites, or anywhere her name or one of her titles was spoken within the last hour. She may view up to 12 locations at once, and she may block the senses of other deities from 2 locations for up to 12 hours. She is immune to cold and to poison, and any water-based spells she casts will triple in effect. Likewise, she can easily summon water elementals, sharks and giant sharks to serve her, all of which are immune to mind-influencing effects. Her trident allows her to command sea creatures, and when it strikes a foe, it causes them to lose all hope and surrender. She senses any powerful wave, current, or sea wind the moment it happens, and retains the sensation for 120 days afterwards. She is likewise aware of all events occurring on any body of water greater than 12 square miles in surface area. And finally, she may instantly create any magic item relating to the sea. Umberlee is an intermediate deity, though one would be ill-advised to describe her thusly. Her chaotic evil alignment barely describes her unadulterated malice, and her clerics will adopt the Tempest domain. She holds no strong position on the creation of undead, and thus she allows her clergy to either turn and destroy undead or to rebuke and command them, though not both. Her chosen weapon is a trident known as Drowning Death, which her casters imitate by wielding tridents of their own. Her holy time is high tide, either in the morning or in the evening, when her casters make offerings and pray for spells by anointing their hands, their brow, and their feet with seawater. The followers of the Sea Queen are known as Umberlee, and they include sailors, coastal dwellers, and water genasi, most of whom worship her more out of fear than out of love. She is also revered by many evil sea creatures such as krakens or the fish people known as sahuagin, eel-like creatures known as anguillions, weresharks, some Tanari demons, and she also grants spells to the worshippers of an old, powerless sea god known as Panzuriel, in exchange for his worshippers' obedience. And finally, many druids will also pay her homage beside other nature deities as a stark representative of the cruel aspects of nature. The Umberlee religion has no real interest in morals or ethics. Rather, their faith is based around observing the incredible beauty and the unyielding cruelty of the sea. Those who challenge this terrible domain must pay twice for their hubris. First, in a generous offering to appease the storm goddess, and second, they must live in fear of what might happen should they refuse. Indeed, if there is one quality that unites all Umberlees, it is fear. The fear they spread, and the fear they feel. The Sea Queen demands daily worship from her followers in the form of offerings and prayers. Before setting out on sea voyages, sailors will routinely leave donations at her altars, which are studiously collected by her priests. At sea, many will play wind instruments to appease her and even throw valuable goods overboard to barter for favorable winds. And in the face of severe danger, it is not uncommon for living beings to be thrown overboard to assuage her wrath. Umberlees also celebrate two holy days. The first is known as First Tide, and it occurs after winter, on the day when the ice first breaks up in the harbour, allowing maritime trade to resume. It consists of a parade through the streets, of musicians blowing flutes and beating drums, and a caged animal held at the head of the procession. Upon arriving at the docks, The beast is tied to a heavy stone and thrown into the sea. If it survives, the creature is treated as a sacred animal by the faithful. This is a watered-down version of a more ancient and more violent rite, once involving human sacrifice to select her clergy. The second holy day is known as the Fair Seas Festival, celebrated in the great city of Waterdeep. Right at the end of their week-long festival known as Fleet's Wake that spans the last 10 days of the month of Ches. Intended to appease the Queen of the Depths, this day involves the Master Mariners Guild taking all of the gold that they have collected over the course of the year from docking fees and then hurling it all into the ocean. Other merchants and sailors will join them, throwing valuables into the harbour until the tribute is swept away by the tide and taken down into a deep chasm known as Umberlee's Cache. Finally, Umberlees reserve a private rite for one of their own, for when they wish to join the Church of the Sea Queen and become her clergy. Known as the Drowning, it is intended to remind the supplicant that their life now belongs to Umberlee. They will retreat into a secluded room within a temple, and they will lay before an altar. Candles are lit all around them, each anointed with a different prayer. And then they are locked in the chamber alone, which begins to fill with sea water. When the room is full, the water washes away, and it is impressed upon the novice that Umberlee may take their life at any time. Indeed, those supplicants who later earn her displeasure may suddenly find their lungs filled with water, as the drowning suddenly continues whence it was abated. The Bitch Queen's clergy are known as the Undrowned, and they live in coastal cities, leeching off the reputation of their goddess. The vast majority of the Undrowned are women who have a somewhat deserved, somewhat undeserved reputation for being promiscuous, though in reality the Undrowned seek bodily contact only as a temporary reprieve from a curse known as Umberlee's Touch, whereby they constantly feel the chill of the ocean. Chief among the duties of the Undrowned is the maintenance of Umberlee's shrines for sailors' offerings. They will collect the offered trinkets of coins, sweet treats, and lit candles, though gold is much preferred. And the altar is washed clean daily with seawater and draped with seaweed to show the goddess's approval. The Undrowned will also charge exorbitant amounts of gold in exchange for their presence aboard seagoing vessels, which sailors hope will protect them from Umberlee's wrath. Should they be required for any other purpose aboard during the voyage, such as common duties or healing magic, the Undrowned will always charge extra. Though, should the ship end up sinking despite their protection, it is not uncommon at all for the crew to turn on the Undrowned with their last breaths, ensuring that they die first. Indeed, shipwrecks have been found containing the body of an Undrowned, riddled with rusted cutlasses. Therefore, many Undrowned will seek fervently to earn their goddess's good graces, believing that her most famous priests and priestesses will be teleported to safety before the ship can begin to sink. And finally, Pirates and adventurers will often seek out the services of an undrowned for special magical rites they may perform to summon the spirits of the drowned dead, hoping that they will reveal the locations of sunken treasures. Any disputes between the undrowned are settled by duels using special hooked dueling daggers, with the losing party quickly bundled up on board the next departing ship. Many of the undrowned have no formal uniform except perhaps a tendency towards naval themes in their dress, such as shark-tooth necklaces, wave-embroidered robes, or simply dressing like any other sailor. Those who reside in larger temples, however, wear a skin-tight sea blue outfit with a luxurious fur-rimmed white cape, representing the seas and the foam cresting atop the waves. They will also indicate their rank by the skeletal hands of those who drowned at sea hanging from formal sashes. Novices to the church who have not yet undergone the drowning are known as untaken. The fully initiated clerics, however, adopt many titles seemingly at whim, such as Floodtide, Darkbreaker, Puissant Undertow, Savage Seawind, Wave of Fury, Wave Lord, and Wave Mistress. The only title specifically reserved for high-ranking clergy is True Servant of the Wave, as well as any title beginning with the word dread, such as Dread Wave of Fury. Yet, in more formal temple settings, and especially along the Sword Coast, this mess of titles has been somewhat tamed into a rough hierarchy. Unranked members and novices are called Untaken and Wave Rider, respectively. Then the ranks of underpriests are Breaking Wave, Flood Tide, Dark Breaker, and Puissant Undertow in that order, whilst senior clergy are ranked as Wave of Fury, which is sometimes called Var Wave, after a legendary priestess who demanded that the rank be named after her. Then Savage Seawind, and the temple leaders are known as Wave Lord or Wave Mistress. And finally, the titles of Dread Wave Mistress or Dread Wave Lord are reserved for special priests and priestesses who have sworn oaths to allow the Sea Queen to possess their bodies at will. The chosen of Umberlee are known as Wave Servants, and they are high-ranking members of her church, answering only to the goddess herself. Rather than being able to turn or command undead, their channel divinity power allows them to control undead who died at sea or who are aquatic in nature. They are also granted resistance to lightning damage, the ability to breathe underwater, to walk on water, and they have a swimming speed equal to their walking speed. Wave servants are also known to speak obscure aquatic languages, such as the dragon-turtle dialect of Draconic, or the sea elf variant of the Elvish language. Some have the ability to smite non-aquatic creatures, and the most powerful may summon sharks whilst in sea water. They are also able to cast Control Weather once per day when at sea, but only to worsen weather conditions. Plus, they also have access to many rare and unique divine spells, such as ones that direct waves to strike their foes, that create watery duplicates of individuals from their reflections in water, that turn a vessel's oars into giant snakes, that protect one from death at sea, or many others besides. For their armaments, wave servants use tridents and harpoons, but they are also especially fond of the curved sickle-like dueling knives of the undrowned, which represent Umberlee's harvest of those who dare to cross her seas. Umberlants are common wherever seafarers brave the waves, but her worship ranks among the major religions of the Dragon Coast, of the Moonsea, of Thay, the Nalantha Isles, the Northern Moonshae Isles, Calimshan, the many ports all around the Sea of Fallen Stars, all up and down the Sword Coast, and she has a sizable cult in Aglarond, despite her worship being made illegal in the region. She possesses many notable temples, including one within the port city of Muran, also known as the Sailors' City in Arm, and another in Athkatla, the wealthy city just to the north. There is also one in the city-state of Hillsfar in the Moonsea, and in Bezanter, the temple city of Thay. She holds a begrudging shrine in Marsemba, the largest port city of Cormia, and a small temple on the island of Brinlaw among the Nalantha Isles. For her named temples, she boasts the Battering Wave in the city of Serlagol, known as the gateway to the unapproachable east within the vast. A hidden temple known as the Cove of the Queen lies on the island of Mintarn, which is infested with pirates. There is also the Hall of the Black Waves on Ruathim Island in the northern Moonshaes, the Priory of the Depths being a shrine complex north of Neverwinter, the Sea Caves of the Roaring, a wealthy temple in Teshburl Calimshan, and Whitecap Hall within Westgate, the capital of the Dragon Coast. Next, her temple Dark Wave Hall lies on the port city of Umlaspir in Sembia. The fishing village of Lattal's Lantern on the Sword Coast includes her temple, known as the Grotto of the Queen. Another is named the Last Drop in the city of Mulmaster in the Moonsea. Likewise, the Queen Spire, overlooking the harbour in Waterdeep, is largely staffed by widowed sailors' wives. Shipsgrave Tower may be found in the port city of Velen in Tethir. The Temple of the Red Sails in Luskan, which is also known as the City of Sails. The Typhoon Palace, constructed by Tortles on an island off the Chultan Peninsula, includes a shrine to Umberlee, built to please a shipwrecked captain. Her worship is also included among the Towers of the Fury in Calimshan, a site dedicated to all of the gods of fury together. Likewise, her oldest temple, in fact the oldest temple in Baldur's Gate, is known as the Water Queen's House, which, much like its counterpart in Waterdeep, is manned by widows who rarely venture outside. The House of the Seas in Monk's Blade within Cormia houses a cult known as the Worshippers of the Wave. Stormhaven House lies stranded on the rocky island city-state of Orlumbor. And finally, last but not least, the legendary Temple Under the Sea is located somewhere beneath the Sea of Swords. Umberlee has very few specialized orders, save perhaps her support of a secret cabal known as the Kraken Society, also known as the Heralds of the Sea or the Tentacles of the Deep Lord. They operate throughout northwestern Faerun and the Trackless Sea, and their goals largely revolve around gathering information about their enemies and allies alike. the Queen of the Waves, is also worshipped by an adventuring order known as the Wave Breakers, who specialize in treasure hunting and deep-sea recovery operations. In my world, the silence of the gods does nothing to assuage the terror folk feel at the sight of the endless sea. Sections of the Sword Coast have been ravaged by tidal waves that salted the earth some way inland, creating driftwood deserts in unfortunate coves, and which has ignited a fervent resurgence of the Umberlee faith. Further south, where the Dark Elf conquests meet the sea, gargantuan sea serpents patrol the shores, seeking to savage any vessel returning from the new lands flush with Mazdakan gold. So serious are their threats that the pirates of the Nalantha Isles have made pacts with devils to infuse their Lanternese cannons with demonic shot, at the cost of their crew, who are literally fed to the weapons that keep the monsters of the deep at bay. To the north, Iluskan raiders ravage the coast, obliterating monasteries and communities for scraps of gold to feed their civil war against their druidic neighbors over the crown of the Moonshay Isles. Meanwhile, in defiance of the new edicts of the Age of Man, a certain deep-dwelling kraken has left her temple under the sea, scraping and slithering her titanic path through portals, up estuaries, and through deep trenches to plant herself back into the midst of the sea of fallen stars, ready to whisper her influence upon the waves once again. For beneath the ocean, there are things far stranger than fiction who care not for the stagnant rules of the old, nor for the wistful hopes of the new. Heed the warnings of the Umberlee, lest you be lost at sea. The oceans are cruel and unforgiving, and to challenge the wave mistress's domain comes at a price, paid in tribute or in blood. Even ashore you should fear her, for the wind and the waves may find you anywhere, should she wish you dead. Choose then, give unto the Umberlee their rightful tribute, and face fair winds, or learn the depths of despair that await those foolish enough to enrage her icy heart. Spread this message far and wide, and offer no respite from her without a price paid in full. Thus all shall turn to her church in fear of the biting wind and the mighty wave. And finally, suffer not the fool who steals the Sea Queen's thunder, for storms at or beside oceans belong to Umberlee, not to the pretender Talos. Slay those who speak such blasphemy.